Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva
and this is Twisted Listeners, a podcast about murder.
and Liz.
And this is part 2 of Killers from Around the World. We're taking a
Yeah.
worldly view to serial killing.
Global. Get some
Global.
global cuisines, get some, I don't know. Where are we going today? Brazil?
And Russia. So
Okay.
we're really
So
globetrotting. A lot of our cases
some
are,
grilled meats.
yeah.
What's Russian
And
food? Borscht?
I don't know, I was going to say vodka, but
I don't know any Russian foods. Yeah.
I don't either. That's interesting. Now I'm going to look it up and find a
Mhm.
restaurant and go try it because I want to
There's
do that.
Russian places up here. There's like a little mini Russian neighborhood up in West Hollywood.
I used to live right
Yeah.
next to it, and the John's
Yeah.
Market. I always thought that John's Market was a Russian grocery store just because they had so
I
much
think it's
Russian stuff.
Mexican.
Dude, I don't know. The one that it was on like Fountain and La Brea, and it was like
Uh,
nothing but Russian food. And I was like, this is amazing. Like,
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay. Maybe they just, can't like cater to their neighborhood because the one in Koreatown is all Mexican food.
it makes sense that they would be catering to like, yeah. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to go try some Russian food. That sounds fun. But a
I
lot
think
of
they have like a
our
pierogi type thing. They have like a dumpling type thingy.
like
I know
similar to
pierogies are Polish.
Polish.
Yes, they have something like
Okay.
that. That's like a little squishy dumpling. I
There's
know.
there's a place in Eagle Rock called Polka, and
Mm,
it's Polish food. It's so fucking good. I haven't been there in years, but like I still think about it and I need to go back. So if it's anything like that, I'm fucking down. Um oh, there's one right near me. I totally didn't think about it. Okay, I'm gonna go. Anyway, so a lot of our cases are America centric, which makes sense because we're American. We do
mhm.
mix it up, I think, more than a lot of
Yeah. No,
podcasts.
I try to pepper them in. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But I like that we're doing one today that is like just that. I feel like that's really, really cool. Um, okay. Also, I'm 41 tomorrow. Ugh. Oh my God.
Ooh, happy birthday, Cindy. It's Aquarius season. Glad we're out of Capricorn season.
Yeah.
Um,
Same.
and hey, my son, did I tell you my son turned out to be Aquarius rising?
Nice. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, but also
Hmm. It's cool.
we're a
Yeah,
lot.
but Scorpio Aquarius is kind of a deadly combination, so I'm a little bit like, ooh.
Yeah, I worry for you. As an Aquarius, I worry for
He's
you.
going to be very blunt.
Yes. And it's funny, I was thinking about all the people I know whose birthdays. So I know like 7 people whose birthdays are between January 27th and January 31st, and we all
Hmm.
have some real strong similarities. So,
And my father-in-law as well is the 31st.
oh shit,
No, no, sorry, the 30th.
my friend
Yeah.
Cindy is the 31st. So, 2 Cindy's in
Mm,
2 days. You're welcome, world. Uh,
they're all cool people.
yeah. In any case, all right, let's talk about
Let's do it.
murder. This is, this is what we're here for. You're going
Yes,
first today?
I am. Yeah, apologies if you hear any cute baby sounds in the background. Hopefully, they're just cute little sounds and not like, screaming.
Oh
We'll have to,
no.
we'll pause it if
Baby.
there's any screaming.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Um,
fair.
hope, hopefully not. Okay. Good job, dad. Good job, husband over there.
Well
All
done.
right. So this is this. I'm really excited that he's awake though and gets to hear this. This is the story of Pedro Rodrigues Filho,
Okay.
or Pedrinho. I'm going to Brazil. And if you know anything about true crime in South America, you know this shit's gonna be fucking wild. It's
Yeah.
gonna pop off.
It's yes.
Um,
Yes.
so this is one of the, I feel like every sentence, every point, every bullet point in my 2 pages of notes here gets weirder and weirder. Like
Grace.
we're on a strange journey together. Um, this guy's referred to as real life Dexter, or like the Brazilian Dexter.
Whoa.
He killed, yeah. And according to some reports, I don't know how accurate this is, he did it actually in part inspire the show Dexter along with some other serial killers.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
because he made a point of killing only criminals, or people he deemed to be like bad people.
Mm.
Um, It's not really probably that consistent, but he certainly did kill some shitty people slash criminals, but probably not universally.
I mean, it's
I
always
would
just
say
like an excuse so that people feel better about it.
he's very good. This killer at like managing a self image of this hero.
Yeah.
He's very good at that.
Okay.
But he does at least kill, according to this MO, some of the time.
Okay.
Um, he in total, I'm just going to say, killed 71 people that we know of. But could
71?
be well over 100. Yeah, Cindy, that was a delayed reaction there. 71. That's only
Wow.
confirmed. Confirmed. It's probably much more than that. The
Stealing my guy's
71 number,
thunder,
though,
though. Like, I was all
I know,
ready to be
sorry.
like, oh, well. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
The 71 number puts him at the number 6 spot overall for most prolific serial killers. Just, I think, behind the South American killers with like a couple hundred under their
Yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah. But I think
Just behind
are
them.
the top 10 like all South American?
Yeah, probably quite a lot. And we'll talk about why
Okay.
at the end. There's a little bit of a reason, I think.
Okay. Excited to talk
So
about it.
Pedro grew up in Santa Rita de Sapucaí in Brazil. He had an abusive father who kicked his mom repeatedly in the stomach while she was pregnant with him, which so he was born with head trauma in the
Oh,
womb. So that's a real serial killer recipe right there.
yes, 100%.
Really want to protect the baby's head. Uh, you don't want to have like a Ted Bundy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so he also came from a really poor family. He was one of 7 siblings and generally had like a shitty upbringing.
Oof, that's rough.
Um, as a child at age 13, he already began exhibiting super violent behavior, to put it nicely. In a fight with a cousin, he pushed him into a sugar mill, which those are very dangerous if you weren't aware.
Whoa.
They can cut your arm off.
So he just has like no impulse control, which could be the head
Yeah.
trauma. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. At only age 14, where things are going to escalate real fast, his dad lost his job as a school guard with the city, and so he went to City Hall and shot with a shotgun his dad's boss, the deputy mayor. So he shoots the mayor like in public with a shotgun
Holy shit.
at age 14. Then he shoots one of his dad's coworkers as well because he basically stole something that his dad like ended up taking the fall for, and that's why he was fired.
Holy shit,
So he
dude.
shoots them both. Nothing really comes of this, and he just sort of bailed out to Sao Paulo with his dad. So
Mhm.
they move into a different area, and he's just like, all right. Not a lot of like criminal prosecutions are happening for little Pedro here.
Yeah.
So things he just kills people, and then he's just like, all right,
They're like, "You're 14, we'll
um,
just let you go."
good, on your way, sir.
It's fucking
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, at age 14, in Sao Paulo, when he moves there, he starts dating, quote unquote, a grown ass woman in her 30s named Maria, which is gross.
Mhm.
Um, Her nickname, by the way, is Botinha, which directly translates to booty.
Booty?
So, yes.
Like butt?
So, yeah, booty. Yes, correct. So now he is a child dating a grown woman named Booty. She is a drug trafficker, and Pedro also worked for her running drugs. And this is when he's going to get into properly get into his criminal career path. And pretty much right away, I can't even keep track of them all, but he starts shooting and killing people in his capacity as a drug runner. These are like fellow drug dealers, gang leaders at Booty or Maria's bequest or request. And he goes from his former nickname Pedrinho, which is essentially a diminutive of Pedro, so
Mhm.
like Little Petey, right, to Pedrinho Matador, which means Little Petey the killer.
Oh, so he didn't drop the little
Hmm.
Petey, he just added a much more, like,
He's
sinister.
Killer Little Petey.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
"I'm little, but I will kill
yes.
you." Okay.
Yeah, Little Killer Petey. And he's, basically got a formidable reputation in the drug world in Sao Paulo as someone who will shoot you and doesn't care.
Alright. Okay.
At age 16 to 17, Pedrinho here proposed to his much older girlfriend, Maria slash Booty, who was pregnant was pregnant with his child.
Oh.
Um, but a man actually robbed and killed her from a rival gang right before they could get married.
Oh,
And he
shit.
wrote on the wall in Maria's blood, "We will get you," as a message to Pedro.
Ooh, this is fucking serious.
Yeah.
Christ.
So Pedro moves away to a different area with his aunt and uncle because he thinks he's like under threat. And he basically at this time adopts kind of a murdery yet morally upstanding persona for himself, saying he's going to be like a
Mhm.
Robin Hood. He vows revenge for Maria and like basically revenge on that whole rival gang, which is the one that killed her. Basically, he's making tons of enemies with gangs. This is like Sons of Anarchy,
It
Brazil.
really
You know, yeah, it really is. So he's making tons of enemies by like, murdering people right and
That's
left. And
fair.
so in revenge for, I'm sure, some of those murders, they kill Maria.
Right. Right.
So
Booty.
uh, they kill Booty. So in addition to being seeking out on this revenge quest, by the way, he's also called the Brazilian Punisher, which is like, it's unfair. This guy gets cool nicknames.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? He shouldn't be getting these.
He also steals food from food trucks to give to the poor. He kills people who are violent to women and children. So he takes it upon himself to be like a little local superhero.
Yeah.
At one point, he also gets his revenge. He rolls up on a wedding where the rival gang was celebrating. This is right out of Sons of
It
Anarchy.
really is.
um, and he kills 7 people, including the leader of the gang who ordered the hit on Maria, and he injures 16 people. He kills
Jesus.
7 people, injures 16. And it's him and his gang buddies do this. And they basically get some beers afterwards, and they're like, "Yeah, that was great," and nothing comes of that yet, anyway, prosecution wise.
Okay. Because it's all I feel like when it's, like, gang related a lot of the time, it's so insular that even if it's, like, a massacre like that, it tends to be, like, I don't know, it's not as big of a deal. Like, if you imagine that happened at, like, a shopping mall or, like, a school, it would be one thing, but it's, like, gang
Yeah,
on gang, you, like even in America, you don't hear about it very often.
yeah, it's very Red Wedding.
It really is, it's very yeah, I was thinking, I was like, "This is a fucking Game of Thrones moment." Like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, slaughter at the wedding. Choo, choo, choo. Okay, uh, 1 second. Sam, can you open some windows like I asked? Just so it's not totally dark in here. Okay. Um, so 1973, Pedro, who at this point is now 18, we're
Oh,
only at him being 18,
made it to an
is
adult.
arrested. Yeah, he's arrested and charged with 18 of the many murders he's committed. I think this includes some of the massacres. So basically, the cops kind of catch up with him and are like, okay, okay, enough.
Yeah.
Enough of it.
It's weird they waited till
Um,
he was 18 because I don't think it matters if he committed the crimes when he wasn't 18, right? Like, so it's kind of a weird it might just be a coincidence, I don't know.
18 for 18, yeah.
Yeah, that
Um,
too.
so in court, he literally is so arrogant about everything. He's like, "Is this it? I've committed more than 100 murders." Like that's his statement.
Jesus. What a cool guy. I'm so impressed by his
Yeah,
toughness.
yeah.
What a fucking dork.
Um, he ultimately gets convicted of 16 and is sentenced to 126 years in prison.
Whoa, okay, that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well,
I had a feeling.
um, his release date is set to 2003 because in Brazil, those big numbers are purely ceremonial, and you can actually only get a maximum of 30 years in prison no matter what you've done.
Well, that's why he's, like, boasting, because who cares? A million's a million, you're gonna get 30 years, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was gonna say, like, in South America, I feel like there is no reason no reason not to be a serial killer. It's a horrible thing to say. But if you are a serial killer type person, there's no like judicial deterrent.
Right, there's not at all. It's like, just go
No.
if you've already killed somebody, like, you might as well just go nuts,
You
because
really
like
might as well. Yeah,
yeah, that's so fucked.
exactly. It's killing one person could be the same sentence as killing 100, which in this
Yeah,
case is what
so
happened.
yeah.
So his case blows up in the media because of his kind of popular image as a Dexter type, like killer of only bad guys, and like he becomes kind of a folk hero in Brazil. He gets
Which is
ladies proposing to him over the mail. He gets lots of like female fans.
it's so
Um,
stupid because it feels like he's only killing bad guys because he is a bad guy and they are the rival bad guys. It's not some like moral thing that he's doing. It just happens to
right.
be.
But he does start doing like killing of like bad guys in the neighborhood for people. So he does start taking that up as like a practice. So it's not just rival gang people. It's also like,
Mm,
oh, everyone hates this rapist. I'll kill him to kind of boost this image of mine, right?
Dumb.
So,
Okay.
so he's working on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
most of his murders at this point are just gang related. It's not really a moral crusade.
Right.
Um, there's a couple things here that are pretty cool. I'm just gonna tell you. Like
Okay.
I don't want to say any of his murders are cool, but some of them you're gonna be like, God damn. Like this one. In the van on the way to prison the first time, despite being in handcuffs, he killed the other man he was traveling with, who was a convicted rapist,
Whoa.
with his handcuffs on, kills him with his bare hands.
Wow.
And when they
So like,
open the van doors, the guy's dead. And he's like,
how did
Pedro's
he
like, yep,
do it? Were
it's
they behind
fucking,
his back?
I don't know.
I wonder if he like used his feet. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
Feet strangling. Yeah.
that's
Um,
crazy. All right. Wow.
it's all cool.
Dude's not
Um,
playing.
in prison, killing other inmates is going to become Pedro here's new hobby. He kills inmates sometimes because they're like rapists or child molesters, right? Out of this like moral justification, but also he kills them for really fucking random reasons. Like for example, someone who snored too loud in his cell.
Yeah.
So it's hit or miss
Yeah.
with the moral justification.
Again, that's what I feel like. It's just like he's just his when you're in prison and in gang life, like a broken clock kind of thing, like you're gonna kill
Yeah,
bad guys. Like, but obviously
but
that's not like your goal or your angle, really. It's just like
I mean, I think he
happenstance.
he does that like reasoning for selecting some of his victims, but as long as he's doing that some of the time, it kind of still counts towards his like image, you know.
Yeah,
But it's not all the time. So
right.
he just loves
Right.
killing, clearly.
Yeah, he's really
Um,
into it.
in the first prison he's in, he kills 10 fellow inmates, for
Okay.
example. And in prison, people would write, this is fucking insane to me, would write to him to request that he put hits out on specific people that they're dealing with in their
Oh
neighborhood, and he would do it. Um,
my
he's
God.
like a murder genie, so it's pretty crazy.
Oh my God, he's murder Santa. Like
Murder
right
Santa. That's
in.
yeah, homicidal Santa.
Jesus Christ. That's
Right.
so fucked up.
And just for context too, to paint a picture, prison in Brazil, like in many Latin American countries, is fucking wild. The
Mhm.
inmates, I think, have you seen the show Inside the World's Toughest Prisons? I'm not sure if there's an episode on Brazil, but there should be.
Mhm.
I love that show. It's insane. The inmates don't have beds. And they're just crammed like a bajillion dudes to one like concrete kind of
What?
holding area, which is also usually partially outside. Yeah, yeah.
That's nuts.
A lot of Latin American prisons are like that. They're just a bajillion people in a big wire box, concrete box.
That's fucking
Um,
nuts.
yeah, there's absolutely nothing like extracurricular, nothing positive going on whatsoever. And what's
Mhm.
especially interesting, a lot of Latin American prisons are like this, including Brazil. The inmates run the show. It's just violent anarchy, and the guards are like
Mhm.
terrified to do anything. So the guards basically maintain like a perimeter, and they kind of like within that, they don't do shit. The guards aren't in charge. The prison gangs are in charge.
That's so fucking wild. Like, why even put them in prison? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
It's like a controlled chaos, I guess, like just out of the general populace,
Yeah,
but within that, they kind of do what they want. So
that's
that's
fucking
why
crazy. Okay.
PD here is not being put in like segregation like he would might be in American prison. It's just
Mhm.
like, oh, you killed someone else? Okay, right.
Right. Okay.
It's not, it just happens constantly.
Yeah.
So while he gets transferred to a second prison, basically that's one of their solutions. Like, oh, he seems to be killing a lot of people here. Let's put him somewhere else. But
Yeah.
oh, Pedro's like, I'll just keep killing more people. That's
Like,
fine.
you can put me wherever. Like, I'm gonna do
Yeah,
what I do. Like, you can't
can't
stop
stop,
me.
won't stop.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so
Jesus.
this is kind of the pinnacle here of the story. So Pedro actually learns from in prison that his father murdered his mother back home.
Oh, fuck. Like,
He
while he was in
stabbed.
prison?
Mhm.
Oh,
He
fuck.
stabbed her to death 21 times. And despite killing a bajillion people, the prison warden actually allows Pedro out to attend her funeral.
What the
Um,
fuck?
yeah, over his mother's body, he vows to kill his father and eat his heart.
That's just extra. Like, he's just doing that for
Hmm.
him. That's
Yeah.
that's not for his mom.
And
The
wouldn't you know
fuck?
it? They send Pedro's dad to the prison that Pedro was at. And I'm gonna say, not an accident.
Why would they do that?
Is this an accident? I don't know.
No.
Um,
No.
he attacks a guard to steal their keys, then basically walks into his dad's cell, stabs him 21 times for poetic symmetry of his mom's murder.
Poetic
Then
symmetry. Oh
he
my
rips
God.
out his dad's heart with his bare hands,
Jesus Christ.
chews a chunk of it off, eats some of it, and then spits a chunk in his dad's dying face, dead face.
What the fuck?
So casual.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That's insane.
hmm
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
so I
Okay.
think last time talking about the you young Chul, I was like, my next case has just a taste of cannibalism, just
Just a taste, as it were.
a mouthful. Yes.
God damn,
Um,
dude.
so including his own father in the two prisons he stays at, Pedro kills 47 people
Wait, what? Why?
because
Oh,
moral
that's how many it
crusades.
was.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant while he was out at that point, he then killed an additional 47 people. But I
No,
see what you're
47
saying.
is his prison total.
Okay.
Yeah.
God damn,
Um,
dude.
this includes a massacre of 16 people at once, which is a revenge on some friend of his that they got murdered. It's all just prison gang stuff.
That's insane.
Um, yeah, but he does a massacre of 16 people in prison, and then it's like, all right, well, see you tomorrow at the mess hall. Like nothing comes of this.
But it's like, all
No,
right, that's fucked
yeah.
up, dude. What the fuck?
For these additional 47 murders on top of the original 16 for which he was convicted, he gets a, again,
Hmm.
completely superficial ceremonial 400-year sentence. And it's not clear to me why they gave him a 126-year or a 400-year sentence, because, like I said, you can only serve 30. So they just take 30 years and they divide it up,
Right.
essentially. And since Brazil has actually increased their maximum to 40 years,
Hmm.
but still, so
Well,
it's
40, I feel like 40 in addition, like if he, I mean, that could get him up there in age at least, you know. I mean, obviously we
yeah,
got
I mean,
77-year-olds murdering people, but like it's a little
I know for
better. I
sure
don't
some
know.
European countries have laws like this too, and to me, in part, it's like, okay, I support this for I don't like life sentences in general. It's
Right.
overused, obviously, in America, but there's gotta be a little clause, a little footnote there where it's like, if you've killed, let's say, over 10 people, like
Right.
maybe
Right.
maybe there can be a little loophole there if you're a serial killer, mass murderer,
Yeah.
mass shooter, that kind of thing. Like, if,
Hmm.
for example, in Norway, they have a law like this, but then they have fucking Anders Breivik, and they're like kind of spinning their wheels trying to find a way to not release him.
Because they're gonna have to
Um,
eventually.
they're gonna have to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is so
and it's
insane.
fucked up. It's fucked up.
Like,
So, like I said, I think there should just be a little more baby footnote where it's like if you mass murdered like over 20 people, like, or some high bar, like maybe if you don't get out.
yeah.
Um,
There's got to be like a cap. Like it's
okay, yeah.
like 15 and
You get
over,
20 you get 20 murders and then after that you're done.
you're done. Yeah. I mean
Hmm
that's like a hard thing to decide as well because
how many is too many?
yeah, if like my family member was like number 19 and that was like the last one, I'd be like, "Are you
Right,
fucking kidding me?" There's no good answer
right.
here. Like
No,
this kind of thing is really hard.
but we got to admit, hundreds of murders is maybe too many to be
Yeah.
allowing.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. I think everyone can agree on that.
yeah. Da, 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 da,
Jesus.
da. Okay, so buckle up here. Pedro was released in 2007
My
after
God.
serving 34 years in prison, so they managed to slap on an extra 4 years somehow to the maximum.
Okay. How old was he then?
Um,
Like 50?
yeah, pretty
50,
young.
50
He would
something?
have been 51, I think, or something.
Wait, hold on.
Um,
What's 34 plus 18? 52. Yeah, 51, 52. Jesus Christ.
Um, after his release, he started working as a night watchman, his security guard, which is great.
Why is that?
Um,
Like, I'm glad to know it's not just our country that's like, oh, you've murdered people, you can be a security guard. Like, what the fuck?
guard this, make sure we're safe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Um, 4 years later in 2011, he was arrested again and convicted of actually just old stuff from prison days of rioting and false imprisonment. So I guess people were like putting together charges from prison shit that happened
Hmm.
before he got out. So he got 128 years for that, but then he only served 7 due to special Brazilian laws.
What?
we think it would have rounded down from 128 to another 30, but instead,
Yeah,
no, it was
7,
7.
7. Like, just stop with the
So
high numbers. Like, everybody must be laughing at their
why?
court system at
Yeah,
this
what are
point.
those
It's like,
for?
y'all are
What are
full
those
of
for?
shit. Like,
Um, did you
good
know,
God.
sorry, this is just random, but did you know in Italy they have a law that after like age 80 or something, I forget the
Oh,
exact
right.
age, like 75 or 80, you can't go to prison.
Yeah, that's so fucked.
So if you want to be an elderly serial killer, like you could just do
Move
it.
to Italy, but maybe they'll deport
Yeah.
you. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Um,
fucking wild.
so since so in 2018, Pedrinho here, our little Petey, gets out at age 63 and he's released on good behavior. And he was free ever since.
He's out there
Um,
right now.
he, well, I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
He's no longer with us, sadly.
Oh, I'm so heartbroken.
Sadly, question mark.
Yeah. Sad for
So
who?
Pedrinho here gets out on good behavior. He worked on a farm. He worked as a housekeeper. He led a normal life, and he claimed that he was retired from murdering.
Okay, I
Um,
have to say, just hearing how this man operates, that I believe that if he says he's done, he might be,
he's
because
done.
he's got no
Yeah.
reason to fucking lie about literally anything. So,
And he knows if he wanted to murder some more, he probably would get like not that much time for
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
who gives a shit? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, in his time out, he became a YouTuber.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That's
Um,
insane. Now I'm gonna look him up.
he and I couldn't find the channel
Mm,
actually, unfortunately.
mm.
But he did enjoy a lot of celebrity status in Brazil, for being this sort of like morally upstanding serial killer. At one point, he had a channel with 150,000 subscribers. He gave tons of interviews, which you can watch a lot of for podcasts and TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
He did, like I said he was retired from murdering, and his name on his YouTube channel he used was Pedrinho X Matador, so Little Petey the X Killer.
Oh, okay.
Cute.
Yes,
Um,
very cute.
he took a kind of stance that crime is like bad, like kind of both really enjoying talking about his murders, but also trying to do this thing where he's like, okay, but kids don't do crime, right?
Let
At
me
the
tell
end,
you how cool my life was, but don't be
but it was
like
really cool.
me.
But my crimes were really cool. Yeah.
What a dumbass.
Um, like I said, I couldn't find the YouTube channel. It's possible I just missed it, or at some point it was taken down.
I'll try to find it.
Um,
They
yeah,
probably
but you
took
can
it
watch like this.
down.
Yeah, but you can watch a lot of interviews with him on Brazilian TV and podcasts, with the translator on, which is still, I think, interesting.
Mm-hmm. For
And
sure.
he loves talking about. He especially loves talking about murdering his dad. I think that was his favorite.
Yes.
Um, that was number one for him. In March 2023, so under a year ago, Pedrinho was actually murdered in a
Oh.
drive-by shooting as he was exiting his home in das Cruzes. And two men shot him from a car before one went up and also slit his throat.
Oh, fuck.
Um, it was obviously targeted. They even told a nearby woman with her child, take your daughter and go inside. Like, we're not here for you. They were basically like, don't get in the way of this. And she was like, all right, you
Like,
know,
yeah, fuck yeah.
um,
I mean,
okay, bye. So they were trying to just kill him.
holy shit.
Clearly, it's a gang thing. I don't know if he was still involved in gangs, or if he was retired, like he said, or maybe if this was just sort of a, what's it
For
called,
clout?
initiation thing for clout. Yeah, to kill
Mm-hmm.
him,
For
to get
sure.
like points with, probably to get points with a gang.
I could see that. Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so far, no arrests or developments have been made in his murder. I'm not sure if they'll care or not. And it seems like there's a lot of gang shit going on in Sao Paulo, like
Yeah, Brazil's fucking
and
scary.
in Brazil.
Yeah.
Ooh, I know a lot about Brazilian politics because of a project I worked on at work.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fucking wild there.
Yeah, I know these twins, they're Brazilian, they're jujitsu, like black belt masters. They fucking crush. Like anytime that they're in like a tournament, they come out with gold. They're fucking awesome. They're like super tall, they're like good looking, super charismatic, and they're like, yeah, we're from Brazil and like we go back occasionally, but like what the fuck? Like they love America like so much because they're like, listen, our alternative is fucking crazy. So
Yeah, no, I know a bunch of Brazilian folks, and they're like, it is wild. Like,
real bad.
um, yeah, yeah, but it's an amazing place and culture and food, and I just had
Yeah,
Brazilian meats the other night. It was so good.
I would love for the government to be able to get their shit together because, yeah, the
They
culture
did,
and the country and
they did technically. Brazil elected a really rad guy, super socialist
Not
rad
not
leftist
long
guy,
ago, right?
Lula. Lula, yeah,
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 like
he's
in the
pretty
last
cool.
year. Yeah, so
So
hopefully it's gonna make their country livable for the
yeah, it seems like
people.
Brazil has like it only has two options. Um, it only has sorry, it only has two options. It has like hardcore super left, like to the extent like we would like it, like very, very
Like
left,
you and I, yeah,
or
yeah.
yes, or like Trump on steroids. So
Yeah.
they only have two vibes.
Hopefully they give this one a chance because it would be great because it's a
Yeah.
beautiful country and like, yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, I could talk about Brazil forever. It's really interesting. So I was excited to talk about this guy. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's Pedrinho, and it seems like a fitting end, I think, to him, honestly, as
Yeah.
someone who loved murdering so very much.
Yeah. I mean the shooting and then the cutting of the
It would
throat
be
is
it would be weird if he died like peacefully of old
like in
age.
his sleep. Yeah, like he peacefully went to bed and he was fine. Like no, that's not
Yeah,
died
but he did get like
quietly.
7 years or so in of like normalcy.
Okay.
Or no, like 5 years.
I mean that feels like a long
So
time for him,
yeah.
considering. Um
Hmm.
it's always weird when you meet people like that who like somehow can just like turn the switch off and be like, I'm not going to be a mass psycho murderer anymore. And you like believe them. And it seems like he did that. So very fucking weird. Very strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm gonna talk about a guy that the beginning of my story is gonna sound very much like the beginning of your story, which is fucking weird. Um, or at least in part. There's definitely some head trauma going on. I'm gonna talk about Alexander Pichushkin. He goes by Sasha, which apparently is the nickname, like the shortened version of
Mm.
Alexander in Russia. So
Mhm.
Sasha Pichushkin.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either because I kept reading Sasha, and then like eventually one of the things I read was like, "This is short for Alexander." I was like, "Oh, that okay." I Who am I
Okay.
to say?
This guy's
Uh,
got quite an intense look. Can I just say that up top?
yeah,
Like he's got quite a look.
he's a really
All his
scary.
pictures,
Mm-hmm.
he's a frightening man.
He is. Don't enjoy looking at his face, or really saying anything about him besides that he sucks. But we're gonna talk about him because he has an
Okay.
interesting kind of has some interesting parts to this story. So he was born
Okay.
in 1974, just outside of Moscow, but he was raised in Moscow, right near Bitsa Park. It's Bitsa is short for where is it? Bitevsky. Bitevsky Park. So they call it Bitsa Park. This park is huge. I don't know if anybody listening has been to New York, Central Park in New York. That is 843 acres. It is absolutely fucking gigantic. Bitsa Park is 2,700 acres.
Ooh,
So,
massive.
yeah, about three times the size of Central Park. So, a very, very big
Okay.
park. It's really popular among like cross country skiers during the winter, and it's just a place that people go a lot to like hang out, but it's also because it's so huge, you can very easily find a place that's totally isolated and nobody knows you're there. So in other words, it's a great place to dump bodies. So he grew up,
Mm.
yeah, he grew up at two I'm so sorry for the way that I pronounce these. Two Karsonskaya Street in Moscow. He lived there with his mother, Natalia, who also
Okay.
grew up in that house. So she grew up in that house, had him, he grew up in that house, and his father like bailed out on them when he was pretty young. But she got remarried, so he had like a half sister and lived there with her. And then when his half sister got older, she got married and had a baby, and they all lived in this house together. So by the time he was like an adult, he lived with his half sister, her husband, their child, and his mom, and they all lived in this two
Okay.
bedroom apartment. He slept on a couch in the living room, and this is just like how they lived. So
Ugh,
growing up,
rough.
Alex, yeah, it's not great, and this area is called. I hate this. I felt bad when I read this. It made me laugh, but this part area of Moscow is called the asshole of the world. Um, in Russian, that's the name of it. So just
Okay.
getting an idea for what it's like around here. It's a depressed area,
Yeah.
not a lot of
So the
money.
ambiance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so he was kind of a normal kid. He had a normal, he was a social child. He was happy, he smiled, he liked to play. And then when he was like 4 or 5 years old, he fell off of a swing and it swung forward and came
Mm,
back and smacked him in the forehead, like hard.
head
And
trauma. There it is.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Later, it was speculated that it had damaged his frontal cortex because when you're that young, your forehead isn't fully formed, it's still soft. So if you get hit
Yeah.
in the front of the head when you're young, you're going to have brain damage, like
Oh
probably,
my God.
And this part of your brain uh controls your impulse control. Is your impulse control. So it controls your impulses
Yeah. Maybe kids should just be wearing helmets all the
all
time
the
or some
time.
shit. Jesus.
I know.
Yeah. Scary.
I know it's fucking crazy. So anyway, after this accident, like pretty much immediately, he would become hostile, he would become impulsive, and he was doing so poorly in school when he was like, like 7 or 8, that his mother actually put him into a special school for children with learning disabilities. He was made fun of at regular school. He was called the R word. He was referred, that was like his nickname was the R
Mm.
word, which is
Oh my
fucking
God.
horrible.
It's rough.
So he went to this other school, but his grandpa was like, this kid's super smart. Like Sasha is super fucking smart. He just had head trauma. So his grandpa actually took him out of that school, put him back in a regular school, and started like spending time with him and actually taught him how to play
Mm.
chess. Now, uh, Alexander here is referred to as the chessboard killer and also the Pizza Park maniac, shortened down to the maniac. So, in many of
Okay.
the things that I read about him, he was called the maniac. Like that was like they didn't ever say his name.
That's a good name. That's
Yeah,
a good serial killer name.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he was called the Maniac, but he's also called the Chessboard Killer, and we'll get into that. But it all started with his grandfather taking him under his wing, teaching him to play chess, and taking him to Pizza Park to play chess with the older gentlemen that would sit around and drink coffee, drink vodka, and play chess all day. So, pardon me, he got really good at it, and he would do this like all the time after school because he didn't really have any friends. So this went on until he was about 15 or 16 years old when his grandfather unfortunately died. And
Okay.
he had actually moved in with his grandfather for a few years, but now he had to go back to his home with his mom and like the rest of the family. And I don't know what happened to his stepdad, but I know he was there for a time and that like wasn't great either. But in the end it was just his mom, half sister and him and her family. So anyway, he moves back in with
Gotcha.
his mom. He's having a really hard time with this transition and he continues playing chess, but then he starts picking on little kids. So he's like 16 years old, and he would find children in this park playing, and he got like a camera, like a video camera, and he would record himself threatening them. So there's a video that you can actually find online of him holding a kid up. The kid's like 3 years old, holding him up by one leg and telling him he's gonna like kill him. And like
Oh my
the
God.
kid's like screaming, crying. And he did this for a number of years. He did it for like, I think 2 years, where he would just randomly, you know, pick up or push or scare, corner children. Now, he never killed any of these children, but this was sort of his like escalating point, like where he starts with this and then that's not enough. And now we move into killing. So
Yeah.
1992 is his first murder, and he killed, it was July 27th. This was his school friend, Mikhail Odachuk. They were classmates and they were both kind of like the bad kids, right? So they were like the nobody wanted to talk to them, kind of the outcast kids. And they would fantasize about killing people. And they're like, let's go to Pizza Park, we'll find a homeless man and we'll kill him. And they like put together this elaborate, kind of thing they were going to do. And then they get to the park and Mikhail is like, I don't actually want to do this. Like, I'm not serious. Like, I didn't actually want to kill anybody. Like, I thought we were just
Mm,
like talking shit and like being tough guys. So, in
yeah.
response, Sasha, the maniac here, strangles Mikhail to death with his bare hands and then dumps him down a well. Now, this well will lead to like a sewer. It's not like a well that you drink out of. It's like a well that kind of all leads into like a sewage treatment plant. So he
Oh
dumps
my
his
gosh.
body, and it was a close call for him because people saw the two of them together. The police actually came and arrested him at his mother's house and questioned him in this death. However, they could not tie anything to him because he strangled him to death with his hands. There was no like DNA evidence. There was nobody that saw him kill him. So while police were kind of like, you were the last person seen with him, they had nothing to hold him and they let him go. This put the scare into this guy, into Sasha, for about five, no, longer, like 9 years. He didn't kill again until 2001. And part of this was that Russia had a death penalty in place in 1992,
Mhm.
and they didn't lift it until 1996. Now, whether or not he killed anybody between 1996 and 2001, I don't know. It's suggested that he did not, but we don't actually really know
Okay.
because a lot of his victims' bodies were never found. They never washed up. They were never found. So now in 2001, he starts his killing again. And the really weird thing is he almost exclusively killed people that he knew. Like,
That's
yeah,
unusual for a serial killer.
it is. It is. 10 of his victims lived in the same four-building complex where he lived.
Wow.
Yeah. Two
Okay.
two of them were in a different apartment at his same address. Two,
What?
four of them, sorry, four of them were from like the apartment next door. Two were from the building next door.
Wow.
Three were from a building two doors down, and one was from a building three doors down. So literally, like
His neighbors.
his neighbors, like a 1 minute walk to
Wow.
all of these fucking
So he could
people.
be on the neighbor list we did. He's serial killing his neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have
Wow.
four, five, six, nine, 10. 10 of his neighbors. Yeah, I said 10
Wow.
victims. Yeah. Yeah. Right next to him. So
Oh my
he
God.
really enjoyed killing people that he knew. He liked sort of like gaining their trust, making it seem like they're going to have like a private chat and be really close. So what he would do is he would get people to walk with him out into Pizza Park near one of these wells that leads to a sewer. And he would say, "Oh, my dog died and this is the anniversary of his death. Like I want to go drink some vodka and, commemorate or whatever, celebrate his life."
Wow.
And these people
That's very Russian.
it is, right?
That wholesome.
He did start drinking a lot after his grandpa died, but people said that he
Okay.
could still play chess really well. It didn't like affect his sharpness at any point, which is scary.
Okay.
Um,
I don't think I've won a game of chess in my entire fucking life.
Dude,
Like, I just can't.
I don't have the
I can't
patience.
chess.
I do not have the
I
patience.
can't do it.
I don't like
I
it.
can't do
It's
it.
not my brain. Nope.
I feel like I've tried to like it and I've tried to because I'm like a nerd in general, and it doesn't activate any part of my nerd brain.
No, me neither. I feel like it's a very serial killer game. Like you have to have like a
Yeah.
certain level of like patience
Yeah.
and like
No.
not get like upset or excited. It's very like cold logic.
Gotta calculate. Yeah, calculating.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I feel like that's kind of
Yeah.
what he was. So
Yeah.
so anyway, he would propose a toast to his dead dog, and then he would attack his victims. Now, for a time, about a 5 year period, this would look something like this. He would either pull a hammer or a wrench, or
Hmm.
like a wrench that has a tool used for removing nails, so like an extra piece to it. He would remove that while the person had their back turned and then smash them on the head with it. Now, he wouldn't smash them on the
Oh,
head enough to kill them. He wanted them to know what was happening. So he didn't want to knock them unconscious. He didn't want to kill them. He would start by smashing them on the head, and then while they were still alive, he would toss them down this well and watch them die as they hit the ground because it was like 35 feet down.
okay. I was wondering, are they going to be like imprisoned alive in the well? Because that's
Nope.
gnarly.
No, no, no. They would fall like on their heads and necks and fucking die.
Okay. Okay.
So this is kind of his MO. But I want to take it back a second to talk about how insane it is that he never got caught for like or didn't get caught for many years. So like I said, he started killing in like July or no, May of 2001. So his first murder was July 1992. His next one was May of 2001. So a 9 year difference. Then February 23rd, 2002, he tried to kill one of the very few women. He only killed two or three women, and this one was his would-be third victim. Now, she was a pregnant woman, and he
Oh,
hit her on the head and pushed her down the well. This
that
pregnant
sucks.
woman with head trauma who fell 35 feet down the well climbed out and got
Uh,
herself to a hospital, and she reported this attack to the police. And do you want to know what these dumb bitch motherfucking cops did? They said,
nothing.
well, they did more than nothing. They said, Maria, where are your papers for living in Moscow? Because there are Russian citizens that aren't allowed to live in Moscow, apparently. So there's
What,
like,
you should have papers for like per city?
yeah,
Like for a certain city?
apparently, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's weird.
And she didn't have any papers. And the cop said, if you stay quiet about this attack, we won't kick you out of the city.
Oh my
So
God.
they
They're like
actually made a
finding a creative way to not do their job.
exactly. They actually went out of their
Yeah.
way to make sure that they didn't have to do anything about this. Now,
Oh
that
my
seems
God.
insane. What is more insane is that 2 weeks later, he encountered a 13-year-old boy named Mikhail Lobov at a train station. Mikhail was like a punk kid. He was like truant from school, probably didn't live at home, always drinking, smoking, not like a good kid, the kind of kid that cops don't fucking like. He pulled this
Yeah.
exact same shit with Mikhail, took him out to celebrate his dog's life, gave him some vodka, hit him over the head, and shoved him down the well. This is 2 weeks after this pregnant woman reported the
My
attack.
God. A lot of like shit is going down in the name of this dog, memorializing this
This
dog.
poor dog, he never had a
Um,
dog, I don't think. He had a cat. But
yeah.
in any case, this
Okay.
kid's jacket gets caught in the well. And I guess Sasha didn't pay attention. And this kid climbs out. And he goes and tells the
Hmm.
police, and the police do not believe him. And it's to the
Okay.
point where he
Did they not
sees
figure out that it's the same fucking well? Did they not figure
they
that
don't
part out?
fucking
Like,
care. They don't fucking care.
okay.
They don't give a
Wow.
shit. So within a 2 week period, there were two reports of these attacks that line up with a bunch of deaths right after this that the police are just like, "Meh, we don't fucking know. We don't fucking care."
Wow.
And
Wow.
a lot of the articles that I read framed it as like the police didn't realize there was a serial killer. Like, no, no, no. They were actively trying to not know. They did not want to know. They didn't fucking care. So, meanwhile, tons of people, tons of people go missing. Um,
Oh my God.
I think up to over 30, right? Over 30 people. They just, it starts out with him stabbing or not stabbing them, hitting them on the head, pushing them down the well. Now, sometimes before he pushed them down the well, he would shove a broken vodka bottle into the base of their skull and then shove them in the well. Now, maybe half of the people he shoved in the
Wow.
well were ever found, ever washed up. Most of them are thought to be caught within the sewage system underneath the city to this day.
Oh, so the well goes to the sewage, okay, to the sewers. I was
Mhm.
picturing it like them just piling up
No, no,
in a
no.
pit.
It actually like
Okay.
pulls them through to these sewers, which is how
Oh
some
my
of these
God.
bodies were washing up. Now, all the
Gotcha.
people in the neighborhood start talking amongst each other and they're like, our families are missing. Who the fuck is doing this? Is it someone we know? Nobody suspects Sasha because he's like a quiet guy, he just keeps to himself. He's like fine.
Hmm.
He's never had an outburst, but people are starting to get nervous. Meanwhile, the cops are doing nothing. And Sasha here, he has a need for control. I think his dad leaving him, the brain damage that he had, being bullied in school, he needed to feel like the tough guy, like the guy on top. And it makes sense because, with the torturing of the kids before he started murdering. So
Right.
after years of killing like 30 plus people and the cops not even like wondering what's going on, he finally goes
Oh
into a
my God.
period where he's way more out in the open. He starts killing people and just leaving them around the park. He's like, I'm not
Yeah,
even going
he's
to
like,
hide these
well,
bodies anymore.
might as well. Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, the cops are literally pretending this isn't happening, so I'm just going to make it more
Wow.
obvious. And at this point is when he really starts shoving bottles into necks and doing other crazy shit to just be like extra
Doing more
violent.
bottleneck shoving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the base of the skull is where he would do it. He would do it with vodka
Oh.
bottles because he often had one, or sometimes like sharp sticks. And then he would just leave their
Mm.
dead body. So at this point he is like beating them to death because he's not
Okay.
pushing them in the well. Um,
Okay.
but yeah. So a couple little notes. He never sexually assaulted his victims. He did later on admit that he would like have a sexual experience when he killed them.
Right. He's still
Sometimes
getting off on
yeah,
it.
he
Yeah.
would actually like he said like, oh, sometimes I would like ejaculate while I was murdering them. And I'm like, that is so fucking twisted.
Mm.
But part of his
That's actually just like the other Russian serial killer, Chikatilo.
yo, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. They're
Same
very
deal.
similar. Yeah, they're often like compared to each other too.
Yeah.
So, but his whole thing
Yeah.
was like he didn't want the bodies to be like defiled. Like he wanted them to be
Mm.
just murdered, like not sexually assaulted. And again,
Okay.
he mostly killed um, men. He did occasionally kill women. In November 2005, so remember, he's
Huh.
been doing this like a couple times a week or like a month, since 2001. In
Yeah.
2003, a 63-year-old ex-cop named Nikolai turned up dead in the woods in Beatza Park. He was actually the first person who was discovered now that the maniac Sasha was just dumping bodies. So it helped that he was out in the
Okay.
open, but more than anything, it helped that he was a cop because it turns out
Right,
that
right.
he was victim number 41. So he had
Oh my
killed
God.
40 people up to this point that had gone
Wow.
pretty much unnoticed. And it took
That
this,
is a lot
it's
of
insane.
people.
It took this
Yeah.
fucking 63-year-old former cop being found out in the open for the police to finally take it seriously, even though all the people in the community were like screaming at the top of their lungs, like, there's a
Yeah.
fucking serial killer killing our families.
That's classic.
Yes. Even so, he killed at least, I think, 7 more people after this. And it wasn't until June of 2006, so like 6 months later, he offered to go for a walk with a 36-year-old coworker named Marina Moskalyova. Sorry, Moskalyova. Marina. She was suspicious of him, so she left a note for her son letting him know that she was with Sasha and also left his phone number. Sasha here,
Mm,
the maniac, earns his name here more than ever because he knew about the note and he attacked her and killed her anyway. Even though she had left a note saying, if anything happens to me, it was this fucking guy. And he knew that note existed and he still fucking killed her and dumped her body in Beatza Park. And she was found June 14th, 2006, with all of the
wow.
trademark injuries. Cops found a Moscow metro ticket on her and looked at the surveillance footage, found that she was with Sasha. Also, her son came forward with the note, and this is how this motherfucker
Okay.
was finally caught. Even though they had
Wow.
come up to him, so many fucking, like, the people come up to the police and been like, this guy attacked me, shoved me in a well, and then police find all these bodies in wells and then finally start finding them
Oh
around
my
the fucking
God.
place. Yeah. So absolutely unbelievable. It is believed he killed at least 49 people, as many as 60. Now, as to why he was called the chessboard killer beyond the fact that he liked chess, when
Chess, yeah.
yeah, so police came into his house with his mother and asked him if he had done burglaries and then arrested him, and then finally were like, we're actually arresting you for murder. His mother gave them a chessboard that he had in his room, and it had the names and dates. Not, I don't know if it was the names, but like the dates and identifying information about his murders written on each board. So on each like chess piece on
Oh,
the board. So
oh, okay.
that's
So
why
he's got
he's
a
the
little
chessboard. Yeah.
chess a chart for himself. Okay.
Yes, but police also
Nice.
believe that he killed more people than spaces on the chessboard, and that was just something he did until he ran out of spaces. So that's why they're not
Oh
quite
my
sure how
God.
many people he killed. Also, there's so many people stuck in the
Gotcha.
sewer. So once he was arrested, he was very vocal about his murders. He was like proud of them. Again, he wants to be known. Once he
Mm-hmm.
once he was no longer being once he wasn't being caught, he started leaving the bodies out in the open. And then once he was caught, he started just openly admitting to what he did. So he
Okay.
was given a life sentence in Russia, which you actually can go to prison forever.
Mm-hmm.
He was given life imprisonment with 15 years, the first 15 years to be spent in solitary confinement.
Ooh.
hmm He appealed the sentence saying that it was too harsh. Like, what?
Okay. I mean, he did do like a bajillion
You
murders.
killed
That's hard to
at least
argue.
49 people, including like
That's a
all of your
rough argument.
neighbors. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. And Russia don't play. Like they're like,
No, they give zero fucks.
there's
So,
they give zero fucks.
yeah, so he's about 10 years in because he went to prison. I mean, he was in since 2006, but I think his prison
Okay.
term officially started in 2007. And so now I think he's finally out of solitary confinement, but
Hmm.
he did spend that time in there. They were like, fuck you, we're not overturning
Yeah.
shit. And so now he is just in prison where he will be for the rest of his life.
If you watch Inside the World Stuff is Prisons, my other favorite show, like I mentioned earlier, they do a couple Russia
hmm
experiences, and Russian prison is no fucking joke.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
holy shit, and solitary. Like, They
Right.
run it very tightly. It's the opposite of the
Yeah.
Brazil experience that I was
Right. Right.
um,
Yeah.
describing, because the inmates do not get away with shit. Like the
Yeah.
guards run it very, very tightly.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's very intense.
It's really interesting to think about like Russia, like how the cops were like actively not pursuing this and just allowing so many people to die. Um, is really fucking wild. It's kind of similar to like Brazil, where they're kind of like, well, if you're,
Yeah.
it's just really interesting. But Russia did take, they no longer have the death penalty apparently, which is,
Oh,
yeah, a little more civilized than
okay.
America. Um,
It is, yeah.
but they do have life imprisonment and they will like without parole kind of shit. So that's where he is.
Yeah,
I
yeah. And
do,
they also punish for drugs just as harshly as we do. They will give you like
yeah,
a life sentence for drugs there.
which is fucking stupid. But I wanted to say
They will, yeah.
one more thing before I finish. I feel really terrible for this guy's mother. I feel like we do
Mm,
so many episodes where like the mom's a piece of shit, and I feel like she is not. Like, she tried to be a good
mm,
mother. She actually said like I tried to raise him normal. I tried to be a good mother. Obviously, I failed. Obviously, I am not a good mother, which just like breaks my heart to hear. And
mm.
then the last thing that I read that she said in this interview was like, I don't think I knew my son very well. Like just the
Oh,
realization coming to
wow.
her about like,
Yeah.
so I felt really
And
bad
she
for her.
admits to like what he is too. She's not like the Todd Cole hit mom of like,
Exactly.
he's
Yeah.
great.
No,
Yeah.
she's like, he's a fucking murderer and I'm probably to blame. And I'm
Oof.
like, we don't know that you're to blame. Like, come on, dude, but
Wow.
yeah. Anyway, so there it is. There.
My gosh. And
Yes.
also the moral of the story of this week too is that cops everywhere
Hmm.
are terrible,
Yeah.
not just in America.
No, they're
It's a global
everywhere.
phenomenon.
Yeah. I mean, they allow so much murder to happen. It's insane if they're not doing
Yeah.
it
And
themselves.
everywhere they don't want to do their jobs.
Everywhere. It's like a weird
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, very
Yeah.
strange. Anyway, so we're coming up on
You have to pick.
Valentine's Day. I know.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. It is a
We
Valentine time,
we
huh?
are, yeah. And so I thought we could just redo um a list that has tons. I want to do unrequited love. So people who like it can
Oh.
be stalking, it can be, just anybody who's been rejected and in return murders the
Hmm.
person who rejected them.
So that's like
Because I
90%
want to
of
keep it
men.
real twisted for Valentine's
I
Day.
feel like that's like 90% of why dudes murder.
It
Like if
really
some
is.
lady
That
rejected them.
yeah.
That's like
That's why I'm
every
like
other murder.
we can do this every Valentine's Day and we'll never run out of good content. So
This could be its
that is what
own
I would like to
podcast. Like
do.
that there's so many.
Oh,
Okay.
there are podcasts about this for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Good ones too. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I want to do. We're going to do that next week. Thanks guys for listening in. Sorry we've been a little wonky on the timing of the episodes. We're doing what we can. But we appreciate your continued uh, listenership and love
I
and
think with two a week, there's enough content coming at you, even with the
the
delays, that
delays.
people
Yeah.
have
No, no, no.
enough to
Same.
chew on.
Same. Absolutely. Um, but I just have a lot of guilt about everything I do in my life, so I always want to apologize. Uh,
Yeah, Cindy's not a perfectionist in any
no,
capacity.
no, not at all. Anyway, okay, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back with tales of unrequited love and murder. And until that,
Sounds great.
I know I'm excited for that one. Until that time,
Stay.
off our
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.